At the time of filming this video, we have 2 days before the release of Predator Badlands. So while we wait, why don't we take a look at the franchise and rank the movies from worst to best? Coming in very last place and hitting our chart at number 6 is the fourth installment to the Predator franchise, and that is The Predator from 2018. Directed by Shane Black, who also had a supporting role in the film and co-wrote it with Fred Decker, who has been behind a couple of cult classic favorites of mine. Unfortunately, this one isn't one of them. This movie had so many good actors in it, had a star-studded cast. I'm talking Boyd Holbrook, Trevante Rhodes, Jacob Tremblay, Keegan-Michael Key, Olivia Munn, Thomas Jane, Alfie Allen, Yvonne Strahovski, and Sterling K. Brown. If I forgot anybody, I apologize, but all stellar actors. They commanded the screen. They had good chemistry together. It overall looked good. I enjoy watching it once in a great while. There was some humor to it, but most of the humor fell flat and missed completely for me. What I didn't like was the storyline. It follows an active duty soldier who comes across the Predator, and he defeats him, and he gets some of the weaponry and armor and ships it to his house stateside via the regular mail. His son comes across it and apparently translates the entire language through it. The military finds out what he did, labels him crazy, frames him, institutionalizes him with a bunch of other PTSD soldiers who find out that there are a pair of invading predators. They have plans for humankind that they just cannot tolerate. So they team up with a scientist to try to defeat them. This storyline was so weak. There was so much to it. It felt like some spots were overly done, while there were gaps in other spots that they tried to fill with the lamest, quickest thing they could possibly fill. The only time I'll watch this film is when I'm binging the entire franchise. If you don't have to watch it, don't. At number 5, we have the only animated film in this franchise, Predator: Killer of Killers, released earlier this year, 2025, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who also directed Prey. We'll see that movie later on in this list. It stars Michael Biehn, who now joins the ranks with Bill Paxton for being in all 3 big sci-fi movies, Alien, Predator, and Terminator, which is awesome. I'm happy to see it. This sci-fi adult animation anthology comes in 4 parts: The Shield, The Sword, The Bullet, The Battle, and the movie is excellent. The only reason that it is so low on my list is its animation. If it was live action, this quite possibly could be number 1 for me. I really love watching this film. From time to time, I was afraid it was drawn out a little bit. The backstory of the protagonist in a couple of the segments were a little bit long and a little bit drawn out. But the animation was fantastic. The storyline was fantastic. The characters were good and you got a real feel of them. I loved the way that the Predator looked in this film. Everything looked good in it. The soundtrack was fantastic. Like I said, the only reason that it's so low is its animation. Since it's animation, it kind of feels like it's out of place a little bit when all other films were live action. But other than that, the film was great. Released November 21st, 1990, Predator 2 joins our list at number 4. Now, this movie was directed by Stephen Hopkins. It stars Danny Glover, Gary Busey, Ruben Blades, Maria Conchita Alonso, Bill Paxton, and Robert Davi. Some big name actors back in the day. We find ourselves following a predator who decides to hunt in Los Angeles during a heat wave, facing off against DEA agents, disgruntled cops, and warring drug cartels. Now, the only reason that this movie is not last place in my list is because it's at least plausible. The Predator, the storyline was so weak it completely fell off for me, but this movie did not age well. I remember being a young boy watching this in the theaters and still shaking my head saying, how did a Predator go from an elite special forces team in the jungle to thinking that drug cartels in Los Angeles and an older disgruntled cop is the ultimate foe? I really don't suggest watching this movie unless you want to watch it purely for nostalgia. It even released to negative reviews, and it's just not that good of a film. The third film in the franchise and number 3 on our list, 2010's Predators, marked the return of the Predator film franchise after a 20-year hiatus, and I was there for it. Directed by Nimrod Antel and produced by Robert Rodriguez, this movie starred Topher Grace, Adrian Brody, Alice Braga, Walton Coggins, and Lawrence Fishburne. We start the movie out with people falling from the sky. If they wake up in time, they pulled the parachute and made it to the ground safely. If not, well, they met the ground a little quicker than what they wanted to. As they're trying to figure out where they are and how they got there, we come to realize that this group is the biggest of the baddies on the planet, and they're transported for a game of unwilling cat and mouse with our predators. I love the concept of this movie. I love the special effects. Even though it's only been 15 years, it still holds up. The acting was great in this. The chemistry was good. You see some twists and turns of the characters that you didn't really expect. You relate with some of the characters. You think some of the characters that are really bad aren't as bad as some of the characters you thought weren't as bad as what they really were. I know that sounded like a whole lot, but the only downfall that I really had about this was Lawrence Fishburne's character being able to stay for so long and just hide out and kind of go crazy and lose his mind. I think if you want a good Predator movie, you should see this film. Coming in at number 2 is the film that kicked off this entire thing, 1987's Predator, directed by John McTiernan, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Jesse the Body Ventura, with a little supporting role from Shane Black, who later went on to direct our last place film, The Predator, but we forgive him for it. It follows a paramilitary group in the Central American jungle as they battle unseen forces who are far more technologically advanced than they are. They try to make it out. Some do, some don't. But I remember seeing this for the very first time as a boy, and I loved it. It was a typical 80s film filled with explosions and gunfire and loud music, and I was just there for it. Now, saying that and knowing that it kicked off the entire franchise, I really do feel like if it wasn't for nostalgia and nostalgia's sake, this film would be lower on the list. Even though it's a good film, during the 80s, they didn't really care if it was true to real world. There are some instances in this film that just do not go. They don't explode like that. They wouldn't work like that. Physics doesn't work like that. Chain of command doesn't work like that. Things just don't work the way that they try to sell it in the film. And that's what took me out when I watched it again recently. But because of nostalgia, I had to put it at number 2. Honest opinion, I think Predators, that came in number 3, is a better film all around with a better concept, but still you cannot go wrong with the original. And taking our number 1 spot as the best Predator film in the franchise, it's 2022's Prey, released on Hulu just like Killer of Killers, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, just like Killer of Killers. This movie follows Naru, a young woman who was raised to be a healer but wants to be a great hunter. When she goes out to hunt, she sees strange lights in the sky, who she thinks is the sign of a thunderbird to show her that she's meant to be a great hunter. But what we find out is that it's a predator hunter. What follows is a huge success. The special effects in this movie were fantastic. There was a scene where the predator, who was still invisible and you couldn't see him, picks up a bear and tosses the thing, and that just blew me away. I was riveted. I think Ms. Midthunder does a fantastic job. She is an excellent protagonist. She really felt like she was there to battle this hunter. I can't say enough good about this movie. I think even though it's chronologically first in the franchise and it's now third to last in the entire franchise, you should wait to watch it. If you start watching this movie first, you're going to be turned off by the time you get to the original, by the time you get to Predator Part 2, and you're just not going to feel the special thing that we all felt to make Predator such a big driving force in pop culture. But this is definitely a movie that you want to watch. It's one reason why you should get caught up with the Predator franchise before Badlands comes out in a couple of days. There's not enough good things I can say about Prey. And if you have Hulu, it's free. And that is my list from worst to best of the Predator films in the franchise. While we are waiting for Predator Badlands to release, it's only the matter of a couple of days at the time of this video filming. I really can't wait, and I'll have a review here for you the day I see it. If you guys have an idea for a list that you would like me to do, or you have a movie that you would like me to review, do me a favor and drop it down in the comments below, or you could head over to my Discord, shoot me a little message, and if you do, I'll put it in the queue for you. And until we see you next time, I hope you have a great day.